Look at the smirk on her face while she's sending out OnlyFans content.
What?
You little freak. We have to go in our winter wonderland here to return these crimpers that we used for Tokyo's car. Because I do not own these. These are like really expensive crimpers. Winter wonderland. Everyone says, you know that scene from Jackass where they put the pubes on the guy's face? That's what my mustache looks like. But Virginia's like, grow a mustache because I want mustache rides.
Look at this.
Who am I to deny her mustache rides? Huh?
You don't fucking deny me mustache rides. I get what I want.
That's what I'm saying. Yes, I love it. It's so much fun living in Canada. Stupid mask bylaws. They're so dumb. I hate it. But we're at the Rona's here. We got to get some 10-3 wire so we can run our 220 plug. We need about 25 feet of it so I can run it from where the panel is all the way over to the welder. This is what we need here. Always get the good ones, the 3 mil contractor bags. They don't rip when you put metal shit inside of them. Yeah, look at me go. Look at this, I'm filming on an 80D and then there's another identical one right here with the same lens and everything. Backup. For when Virginia had her YouTube channel, she might make some more YouTube videos, but she's more into streaming on Twitch. We've got everything we need here. We've got 20 feet of 10-3 wire. We've got another plug for the welder. Our heavy duty bags. This is going to be our panel. That's going to be... I don't know, it just dropped. But this is our panel. It's going to be replacing the other panel. Here's our 4 15 amp breakers to match these ones. But it's got an extra slot in here for our new one that we're going to be putting in here. This is our double pole, so it's a 30 amp. And now, unfortunately, it's only 30 amps coming from the house into the box here. So this wire coming into the top is only 10-3. It matches this one. So unfortunately, we only have 30 amps for the entire box. We'll replace this in the springtime because to dig it up now while the ground's full of frost is almost next to impossible for affordable price. But we'll replace that next year and we'll come into the box with a bigger wire, like 40 amps or something. But that only means we're just gonna have to be careful on how much stuff we use in the garage. Like we can't use the bandsaw and the welder at the same time maxed out. The welder does use 21 amps when it's wide open at 250 amps on the welder. We never weld that high. We're usually around like the 100 amp mark, so it shouldn't be too bad for the winter. So what we're gonna do, we'll knock the power on the inside. We'll go hit the breaker on the inside of the house till we lose power here. And then we'll consult the expert and get him over here to do this.
Kyle's such a professional.
So this is gonna be interesting to do in half the dark here. I do have a generator though, and a light that I can use to get power in here. Come on, get out of there. Yep. There. The professional got our panel installed. We just have to run this wire, probably just run it along the wall, above the door, and then down to the welder over there, and put the plug on the wall. You just have this little plug here. We'll wire that in, and then see if it works. Bam! So, generator's off. I'm gonna leave the camera in here. I'm gonna go flick the power on the inside and we'll see if we get power out here without dying, I guess. Well, I won't be out here, so I won't die, but you guys might die. Hey! Now, technically, if we take this plug, we'll just carry it over here for now. We plug our welder into it. Technically, we should have welder power. Nailed it. All right, so Virginia and I just finished the gym. I was wearing this, yes. That's that Joe Rogan shirt. Oh, I got the hiccups now because I ate too fast. But Paul is actually on his way over here. Paul ended up buying a welder like mine, an Everlast, but he got the Everlast 180, I believe. And I've inspired him to TIG weld, so that's amazing. However, he doesn't have any really raw materials or anything to weld with. So I'm gonna hook him up with some welding rods, some raw materials, so he can go home and he can practice with the new welder. But I always recommend buying a welder and learning to weld. It's not really that difficult, especially if you're just trying to do the basics with it. TIG welding, always awesome. And it's just a great skill to have if you're in the automotive industry, because if you're relying on someone else to build you a downpipe, it's gonna cost you major bucks. If you can do it yourself, it only costs materials. So, a little bit of aluminum plate, a little bit of aluminum rod, some 308 filler wire, some stainless pieces, and some aluminum pieces. All right, check this out. Maze balls right here. Look at this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. These are the same turbos that came on the Honda Civic. Yeah, we're gonna put 8 turbos on my Mustang. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna take this entire turbo kit, we're gonna take the headers, crossover pipes, the charge tube, the turbo. We're gonna put it on the shelf, we're gonna keep it up there untouched, that way it'll bolt directly back on if we decide to take the 8 turbos off. We had good results with the Honda putting 8 turbos on it, but we didn't have enough engine to spin those turbos up. We could only make a max of 20 PSI of boost with the gates clamped completely shut. The Honda was like 0.4 liters per cylinder. This, because it's a 5.3, is like 0.66 liters per cylinder. So one turbo is gonna get 0.66 liters of flow. The rev limit in this thing was 7,700. The rev limit in the Honda was 8,200. So I think we should be able to make a little bit more power out of those. But even still, if we double the horsepower of the Honda, which was 411 at the wheels, then we can make 800 wheel on this thing with 8 turbos. I think it'd be awesome. We could set the 2-step high enough that it'll wheelie with 8 turbos. It'd be cool. It's gonna be awesome. And then I'll be the guy on YouTube known for putting 1 turbo per cylinder on cars. What's next? 6-cylinder? 12-cylinder? 10-cylinder? Who knows? But I'll start by unpackaging all our turbos and getting them lined up, and I'll just show you how serious I am about doing this. Dang, Lucky. Haters will say it's photoshopped. Before we get too far into this though, I have to give a shout out to our sponsor for this video, and that's Legacy Auto Group. Legacy Auto Group, they own a fair number of dealerships between Alberta and BC. They can help you find the vehicle that you need. You can go on their website, you can browse through all their new and used vehicles. They have them listed there. You can also get options to see what your vehicle's worth on a trade-in. So, if you're in Alberta or BC and you're looking to buy a new or used vehicle, make sure to hit up Legacy Auto. They gave me a wicked deal on my 2 vehicles, and they can give you a wicked deal on yours. So with this setup, on the Honda, we did use these wastegates. On this setup, I don't think we're gonna use these wastegates. We're gonna remove this piece, we're gonna weld shut the flappers, and we're gonna run external gates. So we're gonna go 4 runners into 4 turbos, but then we're gonna go 4 runners into 1 wastegate, and that's gonna control the boost for each side of the engine. That's just gonna let me package this much tighter than I first anticipated it would. But I'm gonna put this in the engine bay and kind of see roughly how much space we have with this setup. Oh, it fits so perfect. I'm just gonna plumb it up exactly like this as it sits. Just have these 2 over here and then these 2 right here, and then a couple more over here, and yeah. Anyways, I can't really get a good idea of what's gonna go on here until I get the old turbo kit off. So we're gonna pull the old turbo kit off here now. I'll make space on the shelf somewhere, and that can sit. I think we kind of reached the limits of this engine. Well, if we had a bigger map sensor, we could have went further, but I feel like the stock bottom end with this combo, we're kind of getting on the edge there. So I would love to put this turbo kit back on when we have a built bottom end, so we can push it a little bit harder, maybe go a little bit faster. That was real sexual. I seem to have lost my tripod during the move, so now you're going to be on the welding table looking at my butt while I do things. Because I forgot how to take this all apart. Actually, I forgot how to wrench on anything, to be honest. Actually, let's keep that on. I don't want to lose the firing. Alright, one thing I've noticed when I'm taking this off is that, like, all this, I can't tell if this is just like oil and fingerprints or if it's actually kind of rusting, but maybe I'll be able to just polish that off. Anybody got any tips for this? Let me know in the comments. Once stuff expands and contracts, it gets kind of stuck together in there. So, a lot of our small parts are just going in this bin. The turbo's going to go in this bin too. We got to get the headers and the turbo off now, but everything else is pretty much disconnected. It doesn't take long to remove this turbo kit here. There we go, all the headers and stuff are off. I didn't take the turbo off because one thing I've contemplated, and you guys are probably going to comment this, but why don't you do the 8 turbos into the one big turbo? Now I've thought about it, and I'm not really sure how I feel about it. Maybe we'll do the 8 turbos first. If it doesn't work well, or if it does work well, maybe we'll funnel them into the big turbo after that, but I'd like to just do the 8 turbos first. 9 turbo Mustang just sounds a little outrageous to me, but I mean, 8 turbo Mustang sounds pretty outrageous too, so I don't know. Maybe we'll fit them in there, see what happens. Maybe we'll just leave that turbo in place, and it can't be too hard to funnel them in there maybe? I don't know. So, with the wastegates on, in theory, we could probably package them close to 23, 24 inches together. So we need a space about 24 inches wide. I thought about putting them all the way across the front, but if I take this, sorry, my tripod is not available. Right across the front here is 45 inches. So, like, realistically, we could probably jam them straight across here and just have 8 turbos sticking in the front, but I think I'll need 4 each side. So they do need to stick up quite a ways. Like I said, packaging this whole deal is probably going to be the biggest challenge. I think I'm going to go ahead and pull these wastegates off just to see if we can get the turbos to pack a little tighter. And what I mean by that is I'm just going to take this actuator arm off so we get rid of this big bulky piece here, and we're just going to weld this flapper on the inside. That's going to get welded shut after. We could probably just weld it on the arm here so it doesn't open. Wastegate be kind of sus. I vote wastegate. Wastegate was ejected. Yeet. You know what's really going to suck about this whole process, and I've just figured it out now, is that instead of doing things once, like building an exhaust for one turbo, I'm going to have to do everything 8 times. Like pulling wastegates off 8 times, clocking the turbos 8 times, building 8 oil feeds, building 8 oil returns. I'm in over my head, I think. 'Cause I'm in too deep and I'm trying to yeet. So we've got 4 done here, and without doing anything else, you can see that they package probably an extra 2 inches tighter. But what I'm going to do now is I'm going to take these 4, and I'm going to rotate the exhaust sides so they're kind of just down here pointing straight down with the inlet sides, and I'm going to start with these 4 and see if we can mock something up like that. So I have them set up where the exhaust comes up through the bottom, and then they're just going to be on the side like this. What I want to do now is measure kind of the distance of the center, between the center holes on these things. Where would, so the center of the end hole there to the center of this one is roughly 17 inches. I just kind of want to see what the port spacing on this is. It's like 13, so they're going to be a little bit weird on the runners. They're not going to be perfectly perfect, if that's a way to put it. And then I thought about if I tried tilting them. We'll try it another way. Just kind of imagine that these holes in the table are like the center line, so we'll put an exhaust port on the center line, another exhaust port, but you can see that they have to be much further apart because the compressor housing is going to be hitting the exhaust housing there. But it'd be kind of cool if they were staggered like this as well. I think it would just be like more aesthetically pleasing. But if we do it that way, that was our center line here, something like that. That. On there. Now the only problem with running it like this is now that the coupler for the charge piping is going to be a little close to the exhaust, but we can always clock it again after. And this now makes our center to center from here about 16. So this is probably the most convenient way to package it. We'll just have to clock the housings on the front a little bit more to get away from the exhaust side. But I think that's how we're gonna do it. So now I don't have any flat stock here, but I do have this little piece of, actually I might have some flat stock in this right here. I do. This is a piece of a shelving unit, but what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna drill 4 holes in it. That way we can bolt up all the turbos and space them out evenly. So I've decided on a 5.5 inch spacing between bolt holes. We're just gonna set this up to 5.5 inches, like that. And that's how we're gonna mark our holes. We'll punch the next one, and then we'll measure from that hole to the next hole, and that's how we're gonna get our spacing. We'll just drill it out with the drill press. So as you can see, we just joined all the same bolts up. Now when we put this down flat, oh my god, it's kind of heavy for this little piece of rod. We should be able to just like tilt them on this rod now. And they should still stay the same distance apart. Maybe I overestimated the ability of this piece of metal because it's just moving when I go to lift it up. I can't really mock anything up if this thing's gonna bend, so I might have to get a nice big piece of angle iron tomorrow to try this again. I mean, you can kind of see how it's gonna be packaged in there. This is like my idea. They're all gonna be turned a little bit. And the exhausts, I think, are just gonna come above the fuel rails here and swoop up. So there's gonna be 8 exhaust pipes going up in the middle like this. And then our charge piping should be high enough that we can get, hopefully, to that charge thing. We might have to like come forward with this one, come forward with that one, join them up here, come through the fender actually, and then make a 90 into our air to water in there. Look at me, I'm a madman! We just kind of put this square or rectangle stock across here and just kind of rested the turbos on it, but in theory it could work like this. It looks pretty insane. The headers would be kind of weird because we have to come up over the motor plates to get to each individual turbo here, but it could be done if we just take all this stuff out. So in theory, like this back one could go to this one, and this front one over here could go to that one. I mean, it wouldn't be too difficult. The manifold would just be really intricate. And then the piping would be pretty easy. We just clock all these the other way. That way we just run one pipe from here across all the way down to the bottom. And then we could also do it this way where we put all the pipes in one here, come across like a 3-inch pipe the whole way, wrap it around, put it into that one, and then put that one into the intake, and then wrap all the exhausts in together across the back, come down and go into this. I mean, it's physically possible. I don't know if I want to run that much stuff off one oil. Maybe like an external oil pump or something for all of this accessories, but I don't know. Let me know what you guys think down below. This is just my mad scientist trying to figure stuff out, I guess. I mean, in theory it could work, but do we want to do it like this? Probably not. I think 4 per bank is going to be much cooler, and then we take the hood off and just let it all come out the hood. But that's where I'm going to leave this video. I'm just glad we have our new shop set up. Well, the old new shop set up, and we're ready to weld and stuff. We're going to collect some pieces that I think we're going to need for this. I'm going to get some angle iron. We're going to start mocking it up. I think I'm going to get Nick at Black Sheep Industries to laser cut us some flanges so we can bolt all the turbos to one single flange. Well, two flanges so we can bolt one for each bank. So we'll get some angle iron tomorrow. That way we can adjust these turbos to make sure that they're going to line up the way that we want them to line up before we take all our measurements to get Nick to laser cut out something for us. And then I got a bunch of Schedule 10 1-inch pipe and 1.5-inch pipe, and we'll start building these crazy manifolds that we're going to need to build. We'll weld up the wastegates, and who knows, maybe we'll leave the turbo here and make it like a 9-turbo deal and be extra special, or maybe we'll just run 8 turbos. Who knows what's going to happen? All I know is I'm super excited for this build. It's going to be fun to do something wacky and crazy again. It was this time last year that we built the 4-turbo Honda Civic, and that thing was fun as well. So make sure you're subscribed to the channel. You're not going to miss what's coming up next. And peace easy and good to V.